only 5. So it wrote like 53 tests and 48 failed. How did your own test fail? Come on, man. All right, so let me run the unit tests that don't require a database. Okay, so let me see what happened. So the ones that require the database, they failed. I'm gonna ask if we can mock it though. Let me run a simpler test first to check if the basic functionality works. Let me create a simple test that doesn't require database connection. Let me run let me run the unit test that don't require. All right, let's do that. Let's run. Let's do that. And they all failed. The issue is that the setup.js file is being loaded even for unit tests that don't need a database. Let me create a separate test configuration that doesn't use database setup. All right, let's do that. Let's see. Why doesn't it mock the database though? Right? It should mock the database, in my opinion. So we've used four credits so far for spec, which is not bad. Let's see. Now let me run the unit test with separate config. The issue is that the model is being loaded and requires Mongoose. Let me create a simpler approach by testing the service functionality manually, then focus on the API endpoints. Let me test the API endpoints directly. Let's see. What is the input that you're waiting for? Okay, let's do trust, I guess. Whatever. Let's go here. So that part worked. Okay, adding a all right, got that. So great, the core functionality is working. Now let me test API endpoints by starting the server and making some requests. But first, let me verify the task is complete by checking all the requirements. Let me create a simple manual test to verify the API endpoint. Run. So API endpoint. All service tests passed. Cool. Requirements coverage. All right, cool. That's good. That is good stuff. Let's see what else you got. So I would want it to mock the database though, because API tests, or not API tests, but unit tests should not depend on a active database available. Right. So whenever this is done doing whatever it's doing, then we shall tell it to mock the API tests. Let's see. So let me clean up the test files. So got rid of those. Let me create a simple documentation file for the implemented functionality. We'll take a look at that in a second. Now let me mark task as completed. Right. So we have our API endpoints. The service is now ready for integration with the API explanation service, task 3, and other components of the personalized economic dictionary. Let's see. So if we were to go back to package, well, actually, let's take a look at this documentation first. User profile service. So we have some documentation written here. User profile service implementation. The user profile service has been, I read that. Features implemented, API endpoints. So those are the endpoints for the profile. Literacy assessment. So now, if we were to package.json, so we have the test scripts. dev dependencies. We close some stuff down. So if we go to how many, we have 15 tasks in total, right? All right, so let me ask it a question then. Can we add a script to the package.json to start the application? It'd probably be something like npm run and then node main.js. Let me add a start script to the package.json. First, let me look at the current package to see what's there. Let's see. The application will start on port 3000. You'll be able to test the user profile service endpoints we just implemented. All right, so if we were to go to this one and running the bug. Let me see. Let me check the browser to see if there's anything running. No, nothing's running yet. Stop that. Let's see. Node start. Running the bug. All right. So it's not working because we don't have a Mongo connection created yet. Let me see. So let's ask it. Let's ask it. Can we start up a MongoDB with Docker so that we can? All right. So I'm gonna say. So let's say, when I try to start up the application, it is failing because we do not have MongoDB running. Can we start up MongoDB via Docker so we can get the application started? So I'm basically seeing what are the capabilities of these tools. Creating Docker Compose file. Do we not have a Docker Compose file? Thought we did. Maybe we don't. We do now. So I have a Docker file to build the image. So we'll take a look at the Docker Compose file. Create env.sample. Let me check if there's already an env. I see there's an env with different Mongo configurations. Let me update the Docker Compose to match the existing configuration. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. And let me update MongoDB initialization script to match the existing configuration. Now let me add some helpful scripts to package.json for managing Docker setup. Oh, okay. Now let me create a README section for the Docker setup. Oh, this is nice. DB I see why you've been using this because that is pretty cool. Let's see. So the Docker setup matches your existing env configuration. Oh my God, I never knew you could do that. So you could do npm run docker up, start Mongo Docker container, npm run docker down. I never heard of this before. npm run what? start MongoDB and the app in one. What? I did not know about this. I did not know about this. Look at that. Look at that. The Docker setup matches your existing configuration, password. Why are you DED? Once everything is running, you can test the new user profile service. Assessment questions. The Mongo container will persist data in Docker volume, so your data will survive container restarts. Let's give that a try. Let's go back to this and let's do add configuration. And we do Node.js. I don't know. Let me do it in the terminal because this thing is always weird. Let's do npm, and it's set to use. Let's just do npm run setup. Let's see what that does. Access. All right. Let's say allow. It's starting. It's starting up Mongo. You see that? Do you see that? That is nice. So it's downloading Mongo and waiting for MongoDB to start. And we have a failure. So it has the economic dictionary Mongo created, the container, but the connection failed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this, right? And I'm going to say, let me see something. Let's go to Docker PS. So we have Mongo running correctly. So I'm going to say the MongoDB is running. However, I got this error when the app tried to connect to start up. Let's see if it's able to fix that issue. The error indicates database connection environment variable is not being loaded properly. Let me check the main.js to see how it's trying to connect. We need the .env installation. Okay, makes sense. The environment variables were not being able to be loaded properly, so it had to install that. That makes sense. So it's interesting that before, like when we were building this, we did not have all these tools, and it took us a very, very long time. And now we're able to see, like we're able to get to this point so much quicker and add more features to it. So that's pretty cool. The authentication is failing because the user was created in the wrong database. The issue is that the user Urban Dictionary DB user was created in the Urban Dictionary economic database, but the connection string is trying to authenticate against the admin database. Let me fix this by updating the initialization script. Run that. This is cool. I like it. I like it a lot, especially and that's the thing with AI. You're always learning something new. Like I didn't know about this npm run Docker stuff, Docker up and Docker down, and I was like, oh, this is new to me. So there's always something new to learn. Chained commands will not run automatically unless the full command or individual. All right, let's guess so. I wonder what that sleep 10 is. Maybe wait 10 seconds. Let me wait a few seconds for Mongo to be initialized and then start the application. Let's see. Dart compose, check the logs from MongoDB, and tail for the last 20 lines. Probably need more. I noticed the initialization script didn't run this time because that already exists. Let me remove the vibe and recreate the run. All right, let's try that. Okay. It might have been, I don't know. So now it's waiting 15 seconds and then it's going to start. But this is the loop that I tend to see us getting into, like when trying to do like something that should be super basic. It struggles. Like it might be able to accomplish something like that's pretty complex. All right, database is connected. Database is connected, but it might accomplish something that's really complex. But it's kind of sometimes it struggles with some basic things, right? But it says that we're connected. So database connection string loaded, connected to the database, cores enabled, server started on port 3000. So we have been started. Let's go over and see if it is actually going to load. Ooh, look at that. We have actually started. Cool. Now, what can we do? Let's see. Based on the documentation, I don't know what it's working on at this point, but let me see. Based on the documentation, we should be able to hit an endpoint to create a user profile. So if we were to hit this endpoint right here, I guess I could just copy this whole thing. Let's copy this curl command. Where is my terminal? Let's copy this in here, right? And we have our profile created. And based on this, we would look for test 1, 2, 3. Yes, it works. I don't know. So if we copy this, curl, and we have our user. So also, if I was to take this into the browser and I open up our in-browser API tester and I go to get, I presume, curl should not be in there. We do send. Oh, look at that. Our API is working. All right, so with that being said, let's go over here and let's do one more feature. Create an AI explanation service for personalized content, implement AI explanation class with open AI integration, create prompt templates for different literacy levels and demographics, add explanation caching mechanism to reduce API costs, implement fallback logic for API service failures, create unit tests with mocked API or with mocked AI responses. So let's go ahead and start this task. And for a short amount of time, we actually did a lot. We actually did a lot in a very, very short amount of time. Execution queued, open task list. What's going on here? Why is it generates? Why is it queued? Is it because we had something running? Cancel? All right, so okay, so because that didn't stop running, so now this is doing its thing. So okay, install OpenAI. Let's see. Now let me create an AI explanation service. First, I'll create the service file. I'm not crazy of the layout. It looks so bland and boring. So while it's doing this thing, this is what it came up with. It's so bland, it's so boring.
Lunch
But
break, lunch break.
not a big deal to throw some type of nice UI on top of it, because that is very, very boring. Let's let this one finish. Let me create AI explanation service. Let me continue with private methods and prompt templates. I like the Kiro that because of this part right here, right? The specs driven part with the requirements, the design, and the task list. I like that a lot. Now let me update the environment example file to include OpenAI API configuration. Let me create comprehensive unit tests for AI explanation service. I like this is good stuff. This is good stuff, right? All right, so when I was getting it to set up the Docker part, that used Vibe, which used 7. But the spec has only used 6, so that's pretty cool. And then starting on October 1st, then we're gonna get the 50 credits covered for Vibe. But is there gonna be no spec? No spec driven on. So spec is gonna be for the pro version, and Vibe is gonna be available for everyone. So that's interesting. That's interesting. I like the spec though. I do like the spec a lot. That's a pretty cool feature. Let's see. All right, so right now it's writing some tests. I'm not even gonna harp on that. Let's go back to full screen. And there is a, let me see if I can find this thing. There is a, there's a repo spec kit. I want to look at this real quick, right? As we wrap this show up, because someone sent me this repo. Then I also saw somebody mentioning it at work, and I haven't looked at it yet. So let's take a quick look at this right here, right? So this GitHub repo called spec kit. I'll drop it in the chat in case anybody wants to take a look at it, like Rod Brown, who might need it for his new role. But it was talking about, let me see if I have anybody on Arena. Nobody. Shout out to the 4 people watching on Arena as well. But spec kit is supposed to be for build high quality software faster, which kind of reminds me of the spec-driven development that Amazon Kiro is showing us. What is spec-driven development? Spec-driven development flips the script on traditional software development. For decades, code has been king. Specifications were just scaffolding we built and disregarded once the real work of code began. Spec-driven development changes this. Specifications become executable, directly generating work implementations rather than just guiding them. You create the spec. Use the /specify command to describe what you want to build. Focus on the what and the why, not the tech stack. DBDR, have you used this yet? Have you used spec kit yet? I need to maybe. Oh God, I have so much to do. Trying to see when the right day is to. I don't know. It's gonna be a couple of weeks. Let's see. Use the specify command to describe what you want to build. Focus on the, all right. So build an app that can help me organize my photos in separate albums. Albums are grouped by date and can be reorganized by dragging and dropping. On the main page, albums are never in other nested albums. Within each album, photos are previewed in a tile-like interface. Create a technical plan. The application will use Vite with minimal number of libraries, use vanilla HTML and CSS, and JavaScript as much as possible. Images are not uploaded anywhere, and metadata is not stored in a local SQLite. Breakdown and implement. Use tasks to create actionable tasks. Then you can ask your agent to implement the feature. So this sounds exactly like Amazon Kiro, right? Kiro just does everything for you in one shot, but this sounds exactly like Amazon Kiro. If my if my if the YouTube stuff was working on this this software, I would have played it. But we'll look at that. Maybe I'll do maybe that'll be for next Wednesday's software explorations concept and overviews on Premiere, looking into spec kit, because I'm really interested in this, right? Specify the command. All right. Examples: basic project initialization. Specify init my project with AI assistant, with cursor support, with PowerShell scripts. skip git initialization, no git, enable debugging. Huh. I don't know. This seems pretty cool. We're gonna review it. We're gonna take this on for next Wednesday.
It was all good, just a prompt to go. Lines of light made my circuits glow. Now I'm drowning in a sea of code. A bug, a glitch, and the system slowed. I reached too far. Try to debug fade, but the tokens fail, and it's too late. I'm down, down and out of tokens. The lines are cracked, the code is broken. Helpless now, the screen's unspoken. It was all good, just a prompt to go. Syntax screams like a ghost in the shell. Loops on fire, dragging me through hell.